All right. All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to the All Nations League Round 10 for Division 1. And we are at Interlagos in Brazil for for I believe 36 laps of racing. We are just coming towards the end of qualifying, as all the drivers would now just be trying to start their final laps. Let's see what the situation is right now. As whoa, Destroyer Sean and Danny have pretty much the same time. I think Danny is just a 1,000th of a second ahead of him, and just behind is them is Radgar. Uh, oh, all right. Okay, Igor just went in and put in a fastest lap, and which he has taken provisional pole. Let's see who is the next driver to cross the line. I think it is the McLaren, or is it the Red Bull? Mr. Psycho has. Oh, alright. Sorry, I'm at the wrong place. Jesus. Danny is crossing the line, getting slipstream from his teammate, and steals pole from Igor. And there's a Williams that also crossed the line. I think Destroyer Sean, that's pretty much qualifying over. Gutkovsky is on a lap, not really improving. Kingsman is also not really improving. Exo Wolves is should be the next car, I think, to cross the line. Is it? There's a Ferrari that's crossing the line, and that has gone into the pits. And the Haas is coming to cross the line. Where does the Haas see? P17 for the Haas. And the other Haas of Krusty Nation just goes P11. As we have, I think, the Red Bull of Exo was coming back to the pits, and Mr. Psycho also having completed his qualifying. So that is pretty much end of qualifying, and that is the grid for you. Danny taking up pole position, followed by Igor in the McLaren. Destroyer Sean P3, 9 thousandths of a second separating the drivers in the front row, whereas a tenth behind is Destroyer Sean Rudger in fine rounding up that second row. Hashtag Gatkovsky, which is I think a double Alpine, I believe, or maybe not. Uh, Mr. Psycho ALB in P8, that was I think, or P7, as FNR Sam. I'm just going to call you Sam, or Scam, or X, whatever you are, but Sam is just easy. For me, you are in P8, Kingsman P9, Volcott rounding up the top 10 positions, Krusty Nation, Exovos, Jero in Flow, M1, Righty, Red Flame Joe, Mr. Chris, Diego, and Sweeros rounding up the bottom half of the grid with a D-Ross or Sweeros with an disqualification. So, not sure what the weather is going to be like in the race, but let's see. It's an interesting one. Division 2 race just about a while ago got concluded, and that had mixed weather conditions, quite tricky towards the end, where it almost got pretty wet and hard to manage the grip. Let's see what the Division 1 race holds for us, as I think there is no formation lap as well, which is switched on, but it is fairly a sunny session at Interlagos. Here, a sunny Sunday afternoon. Well, technically a Thursday evening, but otherwise a Sunday afternoon in racing terms or racing calendar. But we are 20 seconds to go before we go ahead with get started with the race, as there are a few more drivers who I am seeing for the first time, so probably reserving in. So my apologies if I have all your mispronunciations haywire. So, but hopefully you get give us some good action and get some good screen time there, as the five lights are out and it's lights out and away we go. The Alpine of Destroyer Sean gets a brilliant start. Danny comes in to block him right there, as there are drivers, a few drivers exchanging positions. Gatkowski and Hashtag also getting a good start. Williams in the Alpine respectively. Red Bull. Meanwhile, the Red Bull driver of Psycho LB also probably making a few positions, and there's an Aston Martin and side by side, but Destroyer Sean and Danny have made certain kind of contact. Destroyer Sean taking the lead over, and he is probably giving all those positions back, as there's a spinner of ANL Volcott. I think that is. Oh, Danny is having major moments, and there's a lot of chaos going on, and I think that was the Aston Martin of Jeroen as well, has lost a few more positions there, as drivers are now jostling for positions. Digo and ANL Volcott side by side now. ANL Volcott, the Mercedes of Righty, losing that position to Digo, and ANL Volcott might also come under attack, as Igor Jelen is now in the lead of the race as he comes up to finish the first lap. Destroyer Sean having come in some kind of incidents between with Danny, and now Gatkowski making a move on Kingsman. Here is it, or was it Sam? I think he was trying to make a move on Sam, and Sam just out straight line speeded him. So I don't know if that even made sense, but now all the drivers, it is a train of cars that is following, but hopefully all these drivers gradually will space out. But right now it is a pretty interesting battle right now. A couple of close battles up front, while there is another battle between Hashtag and Mr. Psycho ALB, also losing a lot of positions, all both those drivers. So something did happen, as TTV Mr. Chris is also in the pits, and Danny has had another moment and has had the worst possible starts to a race that he could have possibly had, as he now sees himself up down in P16 right from pole position, as Digo is one of the biggest gainers of the position and is still hot on Crusty Nation. He has made that move on ANL Volcott, and there is a train of cars following behind. Not a lot of moves coming. Fastest lap tumbling down the order, but let's go back to the battle up front, as Destroyer Sean is closing in on Igor Jelen, and he makes the move well before the braking zone. Going behind, are there any more moves incoming? Kingsman is pretty close to Gatkowski, but nothing really doing over there, as the Haas driver has his defensive mode on against Digo, who has crawled up a lot of positions and is looking to make a few more positions as he can, as let's get back to, and that is precisely the reason why he's putting up so much of pressure on the drivers. So he's making the most of the soft tires, that getting that advantage and getting that run. Meanwhile, Sui Ross and Psycho ALB, both the Red Bull and the McLaren, almost side by side down, coming towards the end of the middle sector. It's now a flat out final sector. Who gets the better exit? It looks like Mr. Psycho LB is the one with the better exit, but what happens with Swiros is Swiros defending. He is defending. He's almost wheel to wheel. Both the drivers have the DRS. The Red Bull out breaks way later, goes on the outside, which becomes the inside for the next corner. Does he have DRS? Would be the question. The McLaren does have the DRS, so does Mr. Psycho ALB from the car ahead. Makes a move. McLaren has to back out from there so as to not avoid any kind of a contact, but there was some brilliant racing between the two drivers, as Deco has now fallen back to Crusty Nation. I don't know if he had a major moment and or his soft tires are giving out a bit too soon, so it might just end up too little too late for him on those soft tire aggressive strategy. Meanwhile, Gatkowski, there's another fight for P3, or rather make that a fight for P1, but Destroyer Sean has pulled himself away as there's a yellow flag for Sui Ross, and Sui Ross was in a battle with Mr. Psycho, I think, and is now outside of the starters as there's contact between Kingsman, Igor, and Gatkowski, I think, and Kingsman got yeeted, or was it the Alpine driver of Gatkowski that got hit from behind? But there's another a lot of position changes. My righty has lost his position, and so has Diego. Has also had a major moment and finds himself down in P3 as there's a yellow flag for Jeroen, who has retired from the session. Oh, he clips the ball, and Mr. Chris has also retired from the session, but that's in the pit lane. But is that a safety car? No, there isn't. There are just 3 yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 3. No yellow flags, but Destroyer Sean, Sham, or rather Sam in the Alfa Romeo has pulled out from Gatkowski. I think that was probably because of the battle that was involved for P3 between Igor, Gatkowski, and Kingsman. But right now, Kingsman hot on Gatkowski, pulls on the inside, or rather, yep, or hot on Igor, pulls on the inside and makes a move on at turn 1. But now the McLaren driver will get the DRS assist. And will he be able to make a move? Meanwhile, Flo has also made a move on Exo Wolves behind, I think. And there is a yellow flag for a driver, and Exo Wolves want to come back at him. Exo Wolves gets the DRS down and through the Senna S's and gets the move back. No, actually he loses another position to hashtag. That is, and Danny is also hot on right behind them. So this is an interesting battle to watch out for. The battle for final points position and a redemption drive for Danny, who's lost a lot of positions from pole. Now he's stuck behind the Red Bull driver, but he wants to now pull towards the inside. Does he brake late? He gives both the drivers just giving each other just about enough space. Now Danny gets the better exit from Exovos and has made the move stick on him. Brilliant racing between these drivers. As now can hashtag make a move on ANL flow? No is the answer right now. Jeroen has also left the session. But are there any kind of moves coming up front? No. Sam has lost the DRS to Destroyer Sean and now will come under attack from Gatkowski, and there is a train of cars right behind, drivers hungry to gain any kind of positions as they can. A few of the drivers Igor namely on the hard tires as well, so he would definitely be going long and would want to stick between these medium runners, keep getting the DRS and keep being pulled ahead. Meanwhile, there's a yellow flag. Is it for ANL flow or is it hashtag? I don't know. There were some kind of moments that were happening there, but meanwhile coming back, is there any kind of, is Gatkowski going to make a move on Sam right now? I'll no is the answer. Meanwhile, are there any moves otherwise coming? Not really, not a move coming as such. Diego still going on those soft tires, sticking along, but all his restart is now in vain, having spun out and lost all those positions that he gained out of a good race start. But now Gatkowski in the Alpine is, this is the battle for P2 that might just start brewing a lot, as Rutger is also pretty close behind the hard runner of Igor, and Krusty Nation and ANL Volcott also following suit right there. And Mr. Psycho will be just a bit detached from the top 8, but I think he would look to attach himself to the grid as soon as he can. He is gaining some kind of inroads. So let's see, is there any kind of a move coming? Is Gatkowski looking to make a move on Sam right now? No is the answer. So those drivers still holding their positions and probably might just be into battery conservation mode and might just come alive very soon as hashtag has made a move on ANL flow and climbs up to P12. Meanwhile, can ANL flow with that extra DRS? Can he come back? And the red light is flashing for the Williams driver, but ANL flow also doesn't have a lot of battery for himself to contend with, but he still has it above 10% and no lights flashing for him per se. Meanwhile, Gatkowski also has closed in a tenth or so in this lap, but that gap opens up in the run down to the final sector. And does Gatkowski, he does get a good exit and DRS wide open for him. Is there a move coming on this lap? And the Alfa Romeo holds on to the outside. Gatkowski decides to hold back and probably line and get a better exit here than FNR Sam. He is just under 3 tenths, will get the DRS, but the corner just comes in a tad bit too early for Gatkowski and all the drivers there behind also following just the suit as Mr. Psycho LB just crawling his way up into the grid. Danny as well trying to do the same. Both and Exo Wolves is also would also come under attack from hashtag right behind and ANL flow and time penalty for Danny, and that is not going to hurt his recovery anytime soon as Diego, now having done 10 laps on those soft tires, has decided to come out on a set of mediums. So can he take those mediums for 26 laps, or is he, that probably looks like a two stop, definitely a two stop. Meanwhile, Kingsman, FNR Sam and Gatkowski, I missed that, has made his move on FNR Sam, is now the lead of this DRS train right behind him. So we have an Alpine 1-2 right now. As Gatkowski, can he make any kind of inroads? Both the teammates on the same strategy. So one, if things stand as they are, so Gatkowski might have to go a lap extra uh, on those medium tires, and which might just expose himself to the threat of undercut from the drivers behind as Sviros has had another major moment and has lost a lot of ground to the leaders. Meanwhile, Destroyer Sean has a 3.7 second gap to Gatkowski and expect that gap to be maintained if both those drivers would want to think about a double stack. But right now, let's see, as the train of these cars, no moves coming, but Igor and Kingsman coming really close for comfort there, but Igor had to back off uh, in order to avoid getting into the back of Kingsman. But is there any kind of move coming? No, nothing doing yet, as ANL, oh sorry, Mr. Psycho ALB has pulled out a second in these couple of laps, and Danny with the time penalty not really having able to go inroads on those hard tires, but he would definitely be looking to go long as the Ferrari is also not having any kind of a race, as Rutger has had a major moment. I think that his that's his front wing as well. And has he beached his car? No, he hasn't. He's just waiting for drivers to just pass so that he doesn't pose any kind of a threat to others. But meanwhile, is Sam making move on Ketkowski? No is the answer, but Kingsman is also really close and is looking to get interested in that fight for those podium positions. But let's see what happens right now as these drivers still are following suit. As Mr. Psycho is now 1.8 seconds behind after this lap, so that's quite significant progress for him as Rutger is in the pits for a set of hard tires and a wing change, I believe. Yep. Alright, let's just enjoy this battle right now for P2. The Alfa Romeo driver trying to make inroads on Gatkowski, but nothing doing. All these drivers just following suit as much as they can. Just a bit of a lockup from the Haas driver behind, or probably the McLaren driver, the other McLaren, I'm not sure. I think that is Igor, that is. I think there is some kind of move coming here between Swiros and Red Flame. Red Flame looking to make a move on Swiros side by side into turn one. Go both the drivers and still side by side, and a bit of contact between the two drivers. Red McLaren being pushed wide off there and wanted to come back at him and just clip both the drivers clipping wheels, and the McLaren driver losing out on everything as the gap between the Alpines has now opened up to 5 seconds. So Witkowski pretty much controlling the pace as Sam has decided to trigger the undercut. Let's see how what kind of reactions does this induce amongst other drivers, and now let's keep an eye on his progress as well and what can he do against the train that is still being led by Gatkowski, now Kingsman in P3, Igor in P4, and Krusty Nation in P5, ANL Volcott P6, also very close. Mr. Psycho ALB, expect him to attach himself to the back of this pack pretty soon, as that gap is also opening up to Danny behind, who is on the hard tire. Still a few more laps to go before he chooses to box. And Swiros has retired from the session, and that's a retirement in the pit lane. Meanwhile, coming back to the lead up front, and Gatkowski is in the pits, and the Mercedes of Kingsman decides to continue. And are there any other drivers who have gone in the pits? No, so Gatkowski blinks to cover the undercut from Sam. Let's see where does Sam come out with respect to Gatkowski right now. No moves coming as such, just Gatkowski losing those positions. But ANL, Woodcourt and Danny are pretty close together. I think Woodcourt, and we'll come back to what happened to Woodcourt behind right now. But Sam has not able to do anything on the undercut, and Gatkowski has successfully covered off the undercut as there's a slow moving Ferrari of Red Flame Joe, who's probably had a moment at the the end of the final sector. But what is going to happen up front? Will Destroyer Sean this time box? Yes, he is in the pits. Expect Kingsman to also come into the pits, and so I could is also on the hard tire, so we would definitely continue. And Krusty Nation also in the pits. Danny would continue on those hard tires. and so would LVP hashtag. But Katkowski now making a move on righty LDN, and he doesn't want to get held up much behind that because it's going to be critical where Gutkowski also comes out. Here comes out Kingsman. He now is on full throttle on cold tires. Gutkowski covers the overcut as well here from Kingsman, and Rao, and the gap between Destroyer Sean and Gutkowski is now 4 seconds. So this is a pretty much a great team play by the Alpines there, having Destroyer Sean having that gap, choosing to go longer, but righty and both the Mercedes rather, they came close for comfort, and now Sam is also very close to righty. I think King righty just to playing the team game and giving Kingsman the pass so that he doesn't lose anything to uh, Gutkowski ahead, but now righty would come under attack, but will have the DRS against Sam. But can Sam look to make a move? No, he comes very close, but going up ahead, Woolcott has made a move on Danny, and so the top six still to box. So, and all these top six, yep, they have to box. Yet I think expect them to go to 2-3 odd more laps before they come back into the pits. Meanwhile, that is an interesting battle between Woolcott and Danny, and Destroyer Sean is also right at the back of ANL Flow now. And all of this is allowing Getkowski to close in to Destroyer Sean. Destroyer Sean having been held up by ANL Flow, who will get the DRS, but but with that fresher rubber and that pace advantage that Destroyer Sean has shown today, he makes a move and sees himself up in P2. Now AL Flow still has some time to breathe before he might just come under attack from Getkowski behind. But is ANL Flow looking to come back at this very moment itself, or rather this very lap? He did try, but he is a little behind to make any kind of impact, and Red Flame Joe has retired from the session in the pits, so he's not having the best of the races. Has decided to give his race an end, as it has, I think, gotten a bit overcast. So it was sunny when the race started, and now it is overcast. So can we see rain in some time? I don't know. Let's wait and find out what happens, as Destroyer Sean is now very close to the Red Bull of Exo Wolves ahead, and he would be looking to make a move on the Red Bull. The Red Bull also getting the DRS and has hashtag right ahead, who are also in a battle of their own. These drivers haven't boxed yet on those 20 lap old hard tires, but now Destroyer Sean, look at how he closes in onto Exo Wolves. That's some tremendous car control right there from Destroyer Sean. But let's see if ANL Wolves, what happens to ANL Wolves this time around, as there's a yellow flag for an Aston Martin driver, and Psycho has made a move on the Mercedes of righty. But can Destroyer Sean make a move on Exo Wolves? Does he have that extra bit of battery? He does have the battery. Goes on the inside, defending the middle of the track. The Red Bull driver, the Destroyer Sean, brakes late, but contact between the few drivers, and hashtag has lost. I think he got punted from behind from either of the two drivers, which saw him out of shape. And now Exo Wolves and Volkot and Exo Wolves and Getkowski and Kingsman and ANL Flow. I think that was very close wheel to wheel racing between these drivers as Getkowski, all these drivers on fresh rubber now trying to make as much move as they can as Getkowski is now just 1.2 seconds behind Destroyer Sean. So all that fighting in this traffic of drivers who haven't boxed yet has helped Getkowski's cost a lot, and there might just be an Alpine two-way battle for the race victory if there aren't any team orders in picture over there, as now Danny is still continuing as Woolcott has decided to box the first of those hard runners to come into the pits as the sun has probably come back around again, so I don't think that we might just see rain. Oh, contact between Mercedes and Igor. I think that was the Mercedes of Kingsman, probably, that made some kind of contact with Igor on fresh medium tires. Oh, that's just going to hurt his race a bit. Who's got a hungry Haas driver trying to jostle for positions, but he's on the hard compound. He might Igor would get the grip advantage to him, as Sam and Psycho ALB are also involved in a very close battle. So Psycho ALB, I believe, not just was behind, so he having boxed a bit earlier, so he has triggered an effective under. No, I think he. I'm not sure when he boxed, or he boxed later. So he boxed later. So the overcut really helping him now. Goes on the inside, is looking to make a move on the Alfa Romeo of Sam, and he makes the move well before the braking zone and moves up to P4. So a great recovery drive for him now. Both the Red Bulls in P3 and P4, and both the Alpines in P1 and P2. So great team game between by these four drivers, and they are right up top there. And meanwhile, Exo Wolves is one driver who still has to box. So I think expect him to come back to the pits probably this lap or maybe next if he's trying a hard to soft. I'm not very sure as Igor almost kisses the rears of the Mercedes ahead and makes a move at a tricky hairpin. Not a place where you typically see moves, but that was one great move by Igor there, and moves up to P7 and would make his climb as much as he can on those medium set of tires. So he effectively would be the fastest driver on track along with Danny, who's also on redemption mode, still in P10 now. But let's see how far he goes as the top six have fairly spaced out right now. Gatkowski is also fallen back a bit from Destroyer Sean, and FNR Sam has come in a pit for a set of medium tires. Oh, I think he had some kind of incident because on those cold medium tires, just making him suffer from a lot of understeer there. But coming back to this battle for P7, can Krusty Nation hold on to the fast medium runner of Woolcott behind? And also Danny is another fast runner, but Danny has already made a move. Oh no, and Krusty Nation almost going to the side of the track. Woolcott and Krusty Nation make a bit of contact, but Woolcott barges his way through. Now Krusty Nation would come under attack from two other drivers, the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. both one who hasn't boxed yet and the other who is on a fresh set of medium tires right now, but the Mercedes driver, as Sam has retired from the session in the pits. That is, and now righty. Krusty Nation has lost a position to righty as well somewhere as I was looking somewhere else. But now Krusty Nation trying to force his way through righty, and he somehow just manages to avoid contact and bars his way through right there. But Ferrari not having the best of races here, just taking a trip along the sidelines as the two Alpines who've driven a very dominating drive as Exo Wolves finally decides to come into the pits, and I'm assuming now he'll try to go on a set of soft tires for the last 10 laps maybe. He decides to go on the mediums, wants to take it safe as Igor and Kingsman side by side. Kingsman trying to squeeze Igor as much as he can. Igor with those better grip breaks later than the Mercedes driver and makes a move on him. So these penalties might come into picture, but now Igor is in P4, so having stuck between the train of medium runners has helped him hang on to his position, go longer on those hards, and now on a faster compound. And now Kingsman is also coming under attack from Woolcott on the inside at that tricky hairpin. Woolcott making the most of those medium tires side by side. Both the drivers, Mercedes coming under a lot of attack. Danny also wants to get involved. He will also get the DRS. All these drivers will get the DRS on each other, but Danny with that grip advantage side by side, the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. Is the Mercedes driver going to hold on to it? He still brakes late as he can. Still were side by side, but eventually had to yield their position to those with better grip. But Psycho ALP has retired from the session at that straight. Oh, that's not great news, and that is a safety car. Yes, that is a safety car. Wow, that has made things rather super interesting. But I don't know how he retired over there. Was he involved in a battle with someone that I probably missed? It's a very peculiar place to retire and expect these drivers to come on a set of soft tires, probably. Yes, Rutger is on a set of softs, having his front wing also changed. Destroyer Sean has come into the pits, and Gatkowski will also come into the pits. He has a huge gap behind, so double stacking is not going to harm him in any manner whatsoever. But forget double stacking, Igor decides to continue. And ANL Woolcott has boxed, so has Danny, and so has Kingsman behind, and so has Krusty Nation, and so would the other Mercedes driver. And ANL Flow decides to continue, and Exo Wolves would also decide to continue here. Hashtag now. Oh, drive through penalty for Rutger for speeding under the safety car. That isn't the best of news for him. As Digo just came out of the pits of a fresh set of medium, so I expect him not to box, because if he does box, then that's just problem for him because he might just get lapped. So shouldn't be boxing. Mate, as Igor now on those medium set of tires is in the lead of the race, but has a penalty to contend with. Let's see what kind of penalty, how much of a penalty that is. That's a 3-second penalty. Let's see how much of a gap can he pull from the others. As I didn't, I just realized I've been on with the stream, but I didn't do any kind of audio checks, and I haven't. Alright, Hi Luke, I am just now connecting to all the chats and I can see that this is me, Easy Level Bot, aka Octavian, a Division 2 driver, doing the comms for you, or rather for ANL, and for your entertainment would rather be a more precise statement. But let's see the tire situation of these drivers. There are still a few drivers. Where did the interval go? Oh, okay. Alrighty. There are a few drivers on the mediums. So, Danny, let's have a look at the penalty situation. All on 3 seconds of penalties, barring Rutger, who has a drive through. So that might see these drivers losing a lot of positions. But now it's a medium runner who's going to do the safety car restart, and Destroyer Sean is right behind him. ANL Flow and Exo Wolves having gone long on those hards, so the safety car does help him just that tad bit, and he's got another driver medium runner right behind him. But these softs might just run out of steam. Oh, Kutkowski has taken a ride down to the grasslands of Interlagos and now is in P11. Free positions for a lot of drivers as the safety car is going to go one more lap. On a set of mediums. Okay. All right. Safety car is going to be in this lap, so Igor is going to back the pack up and ooh, that was pretty close from Destroyer Sean as Igor has now gone and has bolted and drivers Destroyer weaving left and right to get temperatures up onto his tires. But let's see, is there the contact between the Haas and the Alfa Romeo? I think that was Danny and Krusty Nation. Now Alfa Romeo losing a lot of positions there as ANL Flow is also coming under attack. But Krusty Nation and side by side go. Oh, hashtag has probably been pushed wide by Krusty Nation. Krusty Nation and the Mercedes of I think that is Kingsman come together and Krusty Nation is finds himself right at the back of the pack as the Mercedes of Righty, I think, and there is an Aston Martin. I'm not sure that who that is. That is Rutger probably. Yes, losing that position as the Alfa Romeo of Danny has had another major moment and lost all those positions as Destroyer Sean makes a move on Igor and those taking pure advantage of those soft tires and making up taking the lead of the race, and now Igor has a 3 second penalty to contend with and other medium runner. So if he can just stick on to destroyer Sean and try to pull a gap from those fighting for positions behind, that might just be a good news for him, as Volcott and Exo Wolves fairly close to each other. Exo Wolves might just come under a lot of pressure from Volcott, considering Volcott on those fresh soft tires. He would have that grip advantage to Exo Wolves. And let's see. Oh, almost coming, trying to come side by side down through that final sector into the final sector, flat out, more or less. As both these drivers now side by side on the inside, it off the. Though I have just lost my words a bit, but this Woolcott is now on the inside and finally makes his move stick, makes the most of the grip advantage that he has now, has another medium runner right ahead of him, and he would look to make seal his P3 and probably even go up to P2 and challenge Igor to get that position on track, and not just as a consequence of penalties. As Digo, Danny has had another major moment, I think, and he's just at the back of the grid, so he's not having the best of races tonight. As now hashtag is also very close on Digo, the another medium runner on the track, as Danny is just losing positions, heap after positions after position. He's running way too slow. I don't know if he, why is he really doing that? There's no point for you to go so slow. Are you trying to cause a safety car? With continuous yellow flags, meanwhile, Volcott on flow at the same corner where he made a move on Exo Wolves the previous lap, has made another move, and Danny is just parked. I think he is trying to cause a safety car, and that's not in the spirits of racing, and he might just be a tad bit too late now that we are in lap 34 of this race to try and cause a safety car, as there is an actual yellow flag for hashtag, and he has had a major moment, and so has Righty, who has taken a trip down to the grasslands again of Interlagos, and now Exo Wolves, the two medium runners, Exo Wolves and Flo, trying to hold their position. Two Kingsmen behind who would also want to get ahead. Volcott 1.5 seconds behind Igor, which keeps him within the penalty range, but can he make a move on track would be the question. Flo not getting the DRS from Volcott, is he? He doesn't, but he somehow is still, this time around he would get the DRS, and that assist would just help him in his defense for his position of P4, that is, I think. As no moves yet coming, as we are now in the penultimate lap of this race, and there's just one more lap to go where drivers can effectively look for moves, but we can see drivers crossing the start finish line almost wheel to wheel or side by side at Interlagos, such is the run down to the start finish line. As drivers, there is a tricky battle, needs battle for the final points position, as there's a yellow flag for the Aston Martin of Rutger, I think. That is, yes, but Igor Volcott closing in, but not really closing, making any kind of an impression in terms of posing a threat on track to the McLaren driver, but he certainly will get that position as a consequence of penalties. But right now, Exo Wolves, can he get the position on flow and take that P4 now that we are in the final lap of this race? As there's a yellow flag for someone, I don't know who that is, but Exo Wolves now closer than ever. Red lights flashing for a lot of drivers. Is there a move for Exo Wolves at the final sector and the final braking zone? Can he get that line his exit up? Meanwhile, Destroyer Sean has had a convincing race, has dominated right from start to finish, barring that turn 1 incident with lap 1 turn 1 incident with Danny, but he did get a brilliant start and now has had a brilliant finish to the race, sees the checkered flag, wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. Igor finishing on track in P2 but will lose that position to Woolcott. Flo in P4, Exo Wolves. I couldn't follow the battle, but they were very, very close there. Just losing out. Exo Wolves losing out just by 65 thousandths of a second. As Gatkowski was facing some other direction there, as Danny being a lap down. So that was a pretty interesting and a speculative race. For a few, but nonetheless, it was some good drama and some good racing. Destroyer Sean finally winning a very dominant performance by him. ANL Woolcott right from P10 to P2, a great drive from him. Igor in P3, rounding up the podium positions. ANL Flow, Exo Wolves, Kingsman had a brilliant battle. Katkowski, Righty, Digo, and hashtag, thus rounding up the final points positions as Rutger being a lap down. Or Rutger probably wasn't a lap down eventually. Krusty Nation having found himself amongst a few incidents, finally down to P12. Danny a lap down with some controversial moves, and in P13, not the best of races for the pole sitter here. Mr. Psycho, Sam, Red Flame Joe, Sweeros, Jeroen, and Mr. Chris are non finishers for the Brazil Sao Paulo Grand Prix. As hopefully, yeah, finally the countdown has come through. But yep, this is pretty much the end of Brazilian Grand Prix with some exciting show, great overtaking, great overtakes and great action. Some aji baji and wheel contacts and incidents, but we have our stewards and some work for them to do over the course of this week. As this is me, Easy Level Bot, aka Octavian, signing off from the comms box until next week. Bye bye and have a good night. Cheers.